Welcome back. One final segment on this edition of CBTV Sports Fans Week in Review. Mike Neville and Tucker Warner along with you. College basketball Wednesday night, University of Mary Washington women. They have sole possession in second place in the Capital Athletic Conference standings. And thanks to a victory on Wednesday night, they still have sole possession of second place in the conference as they down St. Mary's College of Maryland. 58-40 was the final. Sophomore Brianne Condon played her high school ball at Massaponax, had a double-double, 16 points, 13 rebounds. And another local product, Kendall Parker, a freshman, played at Stafford High School. She chipped in with 10 points for Mary Washington. Big game coming up Saturday afternoon on the road. Eagles travel to Salisbury University. Salisbury University unbeaten in the conference. A one-game lead over Mary Washington. They beat the Eagles back in January at the Anderson Center, so the Eagles really need to get that one if they have any hopes of getting the regular season title in the CAC. Meanwhile, the University of Mary Washington men fell to St. Mary's College 71-66 Wednesday night. Freshman Eric Shaw with a game-high 25 points, and senior Taylor Johnson added 12 points for Mary Washington. Competitive, but again, just can't get over the hump. Salisbury, by the way, St. Mary's College is leading the Capital Athletic Conference standings on the men's side. They have a one-game advantage over Marymount and Christopher Newport. Like the women, the men will be at Salisbury University on Saturday afternoon. All right, Super Bowl 49 is in the books. We thought Seattle, after that miraculous catch by Curse, we thought that, at least I did. I said, well, there's two in a row for them, but it's almost a week later, and I still am shaking my head over the call. You've got Marshawn Lynch, the best power back since Earl Campbell in the NFL, and you throw the football, and nice. But like you said, Tucker, you made a good point. It was really a bad call, obviously, but a terrific play by that defensive back Butler for New England.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at what happened, look at the replay. When Wilson released that football, there was nobody in the area. Right. It was a perfect pass right to, I believe it was Curse again.
I think it was Lockett.
Oh, it was, yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, I'll mess up my receivers every now and then. But he was wide open. There wasn't anybody in the area. It was just a terrific play by Butler in order to even get to that football, make that catch, and come away and not, get called for a safety or anything else on that.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Butler's a rookie. If I'm, and the thing that impressed me was instead of going in front of the supposed pick, which is illegal in football, he went around it and made the play. That's what I thought was terrific. And also, there's been some criticism about Lockett. Maybe he could have been a little bit more aggressive going after the football. But again, the thing boils down to it was a bad play call.
Yes.
I mean, and Pete Carroll is sitting there saying, I wanted to waste a play. You're in the Super Bowl. You're going for a second title. There's no opportunity to waste plays. You have to get it in. And, if you're thinking about, well, let's take a bit, 10 more seconds off the clock and not give Brady. But there was still like 20 seconds. So really, it would have been next to impossible for Brady to bring them back if Seattle would have scored. But,
And look, you had a timeout. You had opportunities.
Right.
You want to give yourself multiple opportunities in case something doesn't work out.
Right.
Because when you throw the ball like that, and the throw looked good when it was released, but when you throw the ball like that, things can happen. It can get deflected. You can lose possession of the ball, which is what happened.
Yeah.
You need to be preventing that because you have to be giving yourself multiple opportunities to win this game. You're not tied. You're behind.
Right, exactly. Well, hindsight's 20/20, obviously. All right, where do you think this ranks? Obviously, it's Tom Brady's fourth championship, Super Bowl championship, which ties him, I believe, with Montana and Bradshaw. And I personally, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to say he's the greatest ever because, and the reason I base that on, I know he's 4 out of 6. So, I mean, he could easily be 6 for 6, but the Giants were in his way these other two times. But the reason I say I think Brady is perhaps the greatest of all time, and I know it's hard to rank, greatest of all time, but the receivers he's had, he really hasn't had that Hall of Fame receiver. He hasn't had a Jerry Rice or a John Taylor like Montana did, a Lynn Swann or a Stallworth like Bradshaw did. That's why I think he has to be put to the top of the list. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd say he's the number one. And keep in mind he did have Randy Moss for those couple of years. It wasn't long.
Yeah,
it wasn't long at all. But
right.
At least there was that one great receiver for a little bit. I think at this point I'd still go with Montana and Unitas at 1 and 2 in some order. Then after that, there's just kind of a group of guys that I'm not sure who I'd rank. I think that Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, John Elway, Dan Marino, all in the same sort of bubble right there, where if you put one of them on the Patriots at this size of time, I think they could have won 3 or 4 Super Bowls too. Yeah. It's just tough. It's a tough sport to rank players, no matter what.
Any sport is like that. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
it makes it a little easier in say baseball, basketball sort of thing. When you get into football, there's so many guys, there's so many things that can happen. That's when it gets tough.
I'll tell you a guy who gets overlooked, and it was even before my time. And I'm not talking about Sammy Ball. I mean, obviously Ball was terrific, and I didn't get a chance to see. I was not, contrary to a lot of people say, I did not see Sammy Ball play in person. All right, I'll make that perfectly clear. But Otto Graham. I believe he got 6 or 7 titles, and he's just one guy that just gets overlooked. You never hear him involved in conversations about. But I mean, if you want to base it on championships, I mean, obviously Otto Graham is at the top.
Yeah, no, and there's a similar argument in basketball too. How people say, well, Kobe Bryant's got 5 championships. He's got to be one of the 5 or so best ever, just right behind Jordan. But people aren't talking about John Havlicek, who won 11 of them.
Exactly.
Old championships get forgotten.
Sure.
It's a lot of recency bias. What have you done for me lately, sort of thing. And you're right. Graham does get overlooked.
Right.
And if you look at the stats too, even that he put up at the time.
Right.
At the time, that was unheard of.
Exactly.
That's what Unitas would do later. That's what Montana would do in the early '80s. Also, it was just. The quarterbacks that are really this great will stand out no matter what era they play in, and Graham was one of them. Brady's one of them too.
Now, I will say the one thing that surprised me: a lot of people are putting John Elway at near the top. Now, again, if you're based on stats and so on, I understand. But again, if you're basing it on championships, he only has 2. You know, but I mean, I'm not taking anything away from John Elway. I just don't think you would put him at the top of the list. Top 5, sure, top 10 without a doubt, but I wouldn't put him at the top.
Yeah, and I've heard of some people who do think he is the greatest quarterback ever. I don't quite agree with that. He's absolutely one of the all-time legends of quarterbacking, but for me, and I think that people now do forget with that recency bias that he did go to those 3 Super Bowls and lost all of them before he won the 2 in a row.
Exactly.
It's difficult. You know, it's tough to see, and especially when you don't really know, you know, like how they would have done in this era.
Right.
It's tough to rank.
Exactly right. All right, well, that's going to wrap things up for this edition of CBTV Sports Week in Review. As always, we thank you for watching. We'll see you again next week with another edition of Sports Week in Review right here. Local sports for you in the Central Virginia region. We've got it for you on CBTV. For Tucker Warner, I'm Mike Neville. Have a great week, everybody.